Hey everybody, it's Mr. Militich. Will be our last week of our lectures. This is week 8. We'll be discussing our final project and kind of concluding the year. I know it's kind of not going out with a bang like we wanted to. It's a shame we won't be in person, but I will create a different video that's kind of like a farewell video to kind of share my thoughts on what this year has been like. But this week will be the last official lecture. So let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, so our agenda today is going to be brief. We're going to do a quick check-in, do some housekeeping notes, and then we're going to do our final project overview, as well as do a comparative government review, which will make sense in just a moment. So this video should be pretty short. So I'm not going to really do much of a check-in this week. There's been a lot going on in the news. I'm sure you all are very aware of the kind of tumultuous state that our country is in right now. I find it difficult myself to fully process everything that's going on. But to reiterate what I posted in Google Classroom, if you need me, if you feel like you need to talk, if you feel like you don't have an outlet to share your thoughts, emotions, what's going on in your headspace right now, I'm here for you. I'm here for you to rant to. I'm here for you to vent to. I'm here for you to talk to. So if you feel overwhelmed with all of this and you don't have an outlet, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to discuss things over Google Meet with you or a collection of students if you feel like you want to do a group thing. As I said in my Google Classroom post, my main objective in these meetings would be to listen. I won't be doing any teaching. I just want to listen and hear what you all have to say because it is important. And I don't want anybody to feel alone in these difficult times. All right, so some brief housekeeping notes. Or it's actually not brief. We have 2 slides of housekeeping. So there's no discussion this week. It's all going to be geared around this final project, which I'll go into in a moment. But again, there will be no discussion. And of course, in lieu of discussion, we're going to be doing office hours for anybody who needs help. So if you have any questions about assignments, including the one that I'm assigning this week, that would be the time to do it. It will be Thursdays from 11 to 1. So anytime you want to pop in, I will be online from 11 o'clock to 1 p.m. I do have to sign off right at 1 o'clock, though, because we are having a staff meeting at Thursday at 1:15. So I am going to need to end it right at 1 o'clock. So if you need to talk to me, come earlier. So like I said during the check-in, outside of office hours, I am going to be available throughout the week for you all and into next week as well. If you feel like you need to talk with me about stuff that's not about school, I'm happy to discuss those things. Just feel free to email me and we'll schedule a time. So the housekeeping notes, this is an update. I'm going to move my video here. This is an update. This is a change. So the final day to turn in assignments is going to be, oh, that says July 15th. Whoops. That is obviously a mistake. It is not July. It is June. This is how I'm going to fix it in the moment. Right? The show must go on. We can't stop. So the final day to turn stuff in is June 15th. June 15th. So if you have any assignments that are left over, if you have anything that's missing, if you have anything that's not fully completed, right? June 15th is the last day I will accept assignments. Any assignment can be turned in late or redone for more credit with no penalty. Again, we really want everybody to pass this quarter. The threshold is pretty low at 60%. So please, please, please just try to catch up. Email me if you need any help. I'm happy to assist. Oh, and no HSA next year. We just got an update from the county. You all, I know earlier in a few videos ago, I'd mentioned that you all will have to take the HSA next year, and you'll be doing some review with your world history teachers. However, that is no longer the case. You will not be expected to take the HSA next year, and it will not be a graduation requirement. So you all lucked out. Congratulations. All right. So I think that's it for our housekeeping notes. All right, let's clear that. Move back over here. Okay, so for your final project this year is going to be a comparative government project. So what the heck does that mean? Well, comparative government is just like it sounds, right? It is comparing governments of other countries to the United States. We've just spent this whole year talking about all the different bits and pieces of what makes up a government and what is its functions, what does it do, and we mainly focused on what the United States government does, except there are almost 200 other governments out there, and they all do things a little bit differently. So I want us to take all the knowledge that we've accumulated this year and start applying it to other countries, right? We should be pretty well aware of what the United States looks like in terms of our government. So now we're going to take that knowledge and compare it to governments around the world. Right here in that picture, you'd have China, the UK, Mexico, Iran, Russia, right? Comparing those governments, what is similar and what is different, right? And you all are going to create a presentation to kind of show me what that looks like. Right? Because again, everybody does things differently. So what are you comparing specifically? Right? You're going to be comparing types of government. You're going to be comparing the types of economies, government functions, meaning how does the government operate? Everybody does things a little differently. The history, the culture, and current events. So there's a lot of stuff wrapped up in here, and it's all kind of detailed in the instructions, which I'm going to open this link now, and we will go into it, and I will review the project with you all. So here we are, Comparative Government Capstone Project. So I did this project last year, and I've just slightly adapted it to apply for distance learning. So it reads here, this project is about researching and presenting information about another country's system of government. Many countries around the world have different systems of government than the United States. You will pick a country and inform the rest of the class about how that country operates and how the country interacts with their citizens. Now, it says the rest of the class. It's really just for me. If we were in school at this time, you would be doing presentations in front of the entire class. However, because of distance learning, you're just going to show me either Google Slides, a video, a poster, a website, a performance, whatever format, as long as it contains the information down below. So let's go over that information. So first off, your project should have some basic info. Give us the full name of the country. What type of government does it have? And who is the current leader? History of the government of the country. You are going to tell me not a long paragraph or long essay about the entire history of the country. That's not what this is about. This is about how did the country get its current form of government? Because remember, governments of different nations change, right? The United States was not always a representative democracy. The United States used to be a colony of Great Britain. Right, so talk about that. Was the country that you picked a colony of another country? Did it have a king or a queen, and then it moved to a democracy? Right? Is it currently a theocracy? Right? This is what you need to talk about: is what the government was before its current form and what it is now. Government functions. Right. And of course, as you're seeing this, so for my honors students, you will be talking about some stuff a little more in depth. There are some more things I'm asking you to do. Obviously, if you see here, I have the comprehensive sections instructions up here. But you all will basically be doing the same project and the same basic informations. However, you will go a little more in depth, particularly in this government functions. So make sure you read your own instructions for that. But for my comprehensive students, these are your instructions. So hopefully you're following along and paying attention. So government functions. That title is basically just to say, how does the government work? Right? Where does it get its rules from? Right? We have here, like, I'm giving you examples of where the rules of government comes from. In the United States, all of our rules of government come from the Constitution right here. But that's not always the case in other countries. What is the process of how laws, programs, or projects are created, right? What does that government have to do in order to get something done, right? In a dictatorship, usually it's something like, all right, well, Kim Jong-un says do this and the country does it, right? However, in the United States, we worked several days, over a week actually, talking about the entire process that the federal government has to go through in order to get anything done, right? So you're going to briefly talk about that there, and also what kind of economy does it have, right? How is money passed around in that economy, and how does it operate? So you're going to decide whether it's a command, market, traditional, or mixed economy, and then you will just also tell us what are some major imports and major exports. Hopefully, you remember those from our foreign policy unit. Imports are things the country brings into the country; it's buying from other countries. And a major export is something that that country would sell out. It's the things that it has that sells to other countries. Current events, you're going to tell me what's currently going on in that country right now. You're going to pick one news story from a reputable news source, and tell me what's going on in that country. And then distinguishing features. This is a very important section where first you're going to share one fact or fun tidbit that you've found out during your research, something that's interests you, something that you have not yet shared through the other sections. And then also you're going to share one major difference and one major similarity of that country's form of government to the United States, right? That's where the comparative part comes in. That's the comparative government aspect. You need to, through your research, look and see, oh, this part is very different from the way the United States does things, and show me that. And then also show me, oh, hey, I found this aspect of their government is very similar to the United States. For example, they could both be mixed economies, right? Both my country and the United States have a mixed economy, meaning they have regulations on businesses, but that the most of the economy is owned and operated by private businesses. And then, of course, all of your research should be done with scholarly sources. Do not use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not a scholarly source because it can be edited and adapted by anyone as an open source encyclopedia. So it's not always completely correct. However, it can be a good place to start. If you are completely unfamiliar with the country you chose, doing a glance at Wikipedia can kind of get you in the right frame of mind. But if we scroll further down, I have suggested resources for you. Right? I have provided some good resources for you to look at in order to find some scholarly resources on where to find information about your country. Right? So look through this and then make sure you provide those links to me to show me where you got your research. Finally, you have a rubric here. It is a very extensive rubric, but this is what I'm going to be using to grade you. Right? Each section is something, has the description of how you can earn points and what I'm looking for. So basic info, history, government functions, current events, distinguishing features, research, presentation. Right? All of these are ways that you are going to earn points for this 100-point assignment. Right. So again, this was just a very quick overview. I would like you all to go through it on your own and then email me if you have any questions about what is expected with this project. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. So now what I'm going to do now is provide a very quick review of some of the stuff that we talked about at the very beginning of the year so that you are clear about what these different definitions are and what I'm looking for. All right, so remember, types of government are the different ways governments look like around the world. Right? We could have democracies, theocracies, monarchies, oligarchies, and dictatorships. All of these are different ways that countries have chosen to operate as a government. Right? And usually this revolves around, and these different governments differ because they differ in who has power. Right? And that's pictured here in this picture here. So who rules, meaning who has the power in the government, Where nobody has power, that's anarchy, right? Everybody's on their own. There's no government, nothing. Anarchy. You won't really find any countries that have anarchy, right? One person that rules, right? We have a monarchy, which would be an absolute monarchy, which means a king or a queen, or a dictatorship, meaning that someone who has just come to power and says that I'm the supreme leader and I'm the one who has all the control, right? We do have a few of these in the world. Oligarchies and juntas. We never really talked about juntas, but to clarify, juntas are basically when the military runs the country. So you would have like a group of commanders or generals who rule the country through the military. And then an oligarchy, again, is a few people, meaning a group of people who run the government and have all the power. Where everybody has power, that is a democracy. And we have two different types, a direct democracy and a representative democracy. Remember, direct democracy is when every citizen, every person in the country votes on every single issue. Very few countries are pure direct democracies, but have aspects of direct democracy like the United States. A representative democracy is when people vote for representatives or leaders, and then those leaders will vote on the different things that happen in the country representing their constituents, right? This is what the United States is. It is a representative democracy. And many countries nowadays are representative democracies. So, quick and dirty rundown of what types of government are. This should be a review of all the way back during the first quarter. So if you have those notes, please look at those to get more in-depth definitions. So because there are a lot of different representative democracies, I want you to tell me what kind of representative democracy it is. We've talked about this in Unit 1, but I'm going to go over it again. One type is called a presidential representative democracy. This is where the people directly elect the head of the executive branch. So we talked about how representative democracies, right, are when people elect other people, and there are two types. Presidential is like what the United States has, which is why we have this half of the image here. We directly elect our president. Well, we, in theory, directly elect our presidents, but as we know, we vote for electors who then vote in the Electoral College. But it is still the people who inevitably end up picking the president or the head of the executive branch, which your country may also do the same. All right, head of the executive branch is the president. However, in a parliamentary representative democracy, it's a little different. The people directly elect members of the legislature, right, which is just like a presidential system, but then the legislature elects the head of the executive branch. So in places like the United Kingdom, Great Britain, they do not directly elect what's called their prime minister. They vote for people to represent them in the legislature, what's often called parliament, and then those members will vote for who is the head of the executive branch. The people, in fact, never end up voting or picking who the prime minister is. Unlike in a presidential system where people vote for both the members of the legislature and the president. They pick both. So here in the United States, we pick who is our representative, who are our senators, and we pick who the president is. So if your country is a representative democracy, I want you to tell me, is it a presidential system or a parliamentary system? All right, types of economy. This is also the Unit 1 stuff that I want to go over. Everything else should be pretty straightforward in the project, but types of economies you may still be a little fuzzy on because it was so long ago. So remember, one of our economy types is a traditional economy, meaning the way the economy operates in that country, in that government, if they have a traditional system, is based on customs, history, and time-honored beliefs, often a barter system. Right? This is where countries that have a traditional economy usually don't have strong governments or have very limited governments, right? Where it's the people, basically saying, all right, well, I grow apples and I will trade you 12 apples if you give me a goat that you're raising, right? That would be a traditional economy. Market economies, which is where we start seeing more money, right? Traditional economies, you do tend to have money sometimes, but it's more often a barter system. So there's not really like actual physical currency. A market economy is when buyers and sellers control in an unrestricted market, meaning whoever owns a business can operate that business however they want, and they can charge whatever price they want, and they have to compete against other businesses for those goods and services. So if people live in a market economy, that means you would go and just like in a marketplace, you would go and shop around and say, oh, well, this business is selling apples for $2 a dozen. And then this place is offering apples for $4 a dozen. So who do I want to buy from? But a big thing about market economies is that they do not have any government restrictions. They don't have restrictions on price. They don't have restrictions on labor laws. They don't have restrictions on how the actual physical business operates. So it could be super dirty, it could be super clean. It's all up to the business. So market economy, a pure market economy, is all about buyers and sellers, right? Businesses and consumers. Command economy is the exact opposite. The government controls all aspects of the economy. In a command economy, the government tells you what a business is going to make, how they are going to make it, what price they are going to charge, how many people they can hire, what wage the people are going to earn, right? And oftentimes the government will tell you as an individual, hey, you have to work in this job. You oftentimes do not get a choice to pick your job. And then a mixed economy, right, has elements of both market and economy. I'm sorry, that should say market and command. Yeah, we'll just put calm. Right. So a mixed economy is just like it sounds. It is a mixture of market and command, meaning buyers and sellers often control the economy. However, there are some regulations placed on them by governments. So the government doesn't have complete control over a business in a mixed economy. What it does, it puts regulations. Say, like, you can't make food in a dirty shop, you have to clean it up. Or you can't charge milk, at $8 a gallon because people need milk. So the government will often put restrictions or even subsidize the price of milk. So these were the different economies, and these are important to notice because how an economy operates, how people earn money, and how people work is an essential part of how a government operates. So this is a very important thing to bring up in your presentation. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. The two big things I wanted to review with you all was that stuff from Unit 1, the different types of government and the different types of economy. If you have any more questions or are unclear about the project, please, please, please feel free to email. I'm always happy to help. So again, the project is due June 8th. Last day to turn anything in is June 15th. I know I said there are no penalties for late assignments. You can redo assignments and resubmit it, and I'll get it and grade it. However, anything done after June 15th at 11:59 at June 15th, right, I will not accept because I have to have my grades finished by June 17th, the last day of school. Well, the last day of school for you is June 15th. The last day of school for me is June 17th. So I have to have my grades done and submitted by June 17th. So I would like to be basically finished by June 15th. So hopefully you will turn in stuff before June 15th, and I will only have to grade a few assignments after on June 16th. But June 15th is the absolute last day. I will not accept anything past June 15th. Again, as a reminder, office hours are going to be Thursday, 11 to 1. If you have any questions about the assignments, please feel free to pop in then. And again, I am available for individual or group meetups upon request. Just email me if you want to discuss things about what's going on in the world. I'm happy to listen. Okay, so all my love and support to you all. Hopefully you enjoy this last project, our last hurrah. Be on the lookout for my farewell video, probably next week. Otherwise, I hope to see you all sometime throughout the week. See you later.